This time on Allies or Enemies, we are taking a look at Azul. Azul is a tile placement game designed by Michael Kiesling and based around the real-life decorative tiles found in Portugal and elsewhere. It can be played with 2 to 4 players and is exactly the kind of low-complexity, medium strategy game that works great as a gateway game, which is part of why it has become such a staple. Also, it uses faux ceramic tiles that are some of the most pleasing game components on the market. But before we get too into the pieces, let's learn how to play.
Azul can be learned in 10 minutes and explained to new players in 2. You start with 4 tiles on each of the circles called factory displays, and one at a time you take all of one color from one of the displays and add it to one of your rows. Extras go to the bottom for negative points later, and any you don't pick get pushed to the middle. If you are the first player to choose tiles from the middle, you also take the first player tile. Once everything has been chosen and placed, you slide one tile over from each finished row and add up your points. Then the new first player resets the market by pulling more tiles from the bag, and you do it all again. The game is over once one player has filled a horizontal row. Then you add up bonuses and a new champion of Azul is named.
Let's talk about those components. The tiles are inarguably terrific. They are cool and smooth and have a great weight and make a super satisfying sound when they rattle in the bag and are illustrated beautifully. I'm not totally sure if they are heavy plastic or bakelite or what, but whatever it is feels great. They are the star of the show and they couldn't be much better. The bag is nice and big and can fit easily any hands. The boards and factory displays are also fine. The one tricky is the tiny score cube that shifts easily if the board or table gets bumped. The tiles aren't nearly as slidey as you might think, but that cube is kind of a menace.
Azul is terrific at any player count. If you have more players, you just add a few more factory displays. The turns will be super fast with all but the most AP-prone groups, so it should be rare that the game ever goes much more than 30 minutes. With 3 or 4 players, it's a bit harder to plan ahead, so the game's more read and react to what's left. But at 2, it becomes a little bit more strategic, as you need to really keep an eye on your opponent, and there's a lot more drafting to block their plans or to stick them with a handful of useless tiles at the end. For some, it might feel a smidge cutthroat at times, but in order to win, you also need to focus on what you want, so it does tend to even out.
This is one that you can easily play 3 times in a sitting and not get bored. It is rare that we play just one and put it away. As you play more, you will start to see some of the strategies and you will improve, which is rewarding and especially fun when you are playing the same opponents and you are both getting better together. There is also a reverse side to the board that offers a kind of advanced game where players can put tiles where they want, as long as they stick to one of each kind per row and column. We don't use this side much, but it can be a fun change and it's nice it's there. If you really love the game, there are also a few expansions and alternate versions that add complexity and switch things up, but we haven't delved into those yet.
It really is easy to see how this game has gotten so popular. The rules can be explained in a couple of minutes, but there is some depth to the strategy. It has a great balance of interaction and building your own board, and it looks classy, which with new gamers is a huge selling point. It hits that sweet spot between drafting and tile placing that's intrinsically rewarding, and it does so with some very pretty tiles. The take that aspects of the late round hate drafting might get tricky for some players, and experienced gamers may find it a bit too light, especially compared to the Summer Pavilion version. But for the vast majority of players, this is going to be a game night staple, especially when there are newbies at the table. And that is it. We'd love to hear what you think about Azul or any of the expansions. We've had our eye on Summer Pavilion. And please do like and subscribe, and hopefully we will see you all next time for another game.